Now then, lads, welcome back. And today, I thought we'd have a look at a new post that Darkflow's put up in a bit of a more unscripted fashion. You can probably already tell. That is about a brand new class that actually seems pretty interesting. And that class is the Guerrilla class, or Partisan class as I'll probably call it, because I can't say the word Guerrilla. Guerrilla? I'll figure it out. So, this is obviously the page that, this is the reveal page, this is the news. So we've got a new class, Guerrilla. So yeah, let's have a look at what they're actually going to do. So, they have a difficult task, because their job will be to basically act as spies and kind of, sabotage stuff behind the front lines. And they have some pretty interesting ways to do that. So one of their features that they have is they can go into most of the enemy's battle area without time restrictions. Now I'm assuming what it means by that is stages of the map that have either were part of the map, say an invasion and you capture the next point, they can go back to the old point and that bit, or they can go into future points, which will be interesting. And they do state here that you are off limits for going into infantry and vehicle spawn zones, so they're trying to combat spawn camping there, which is interesting. And the overall mission boundaries, which I'm assuming are going to be like the sides, so they can't do ridiculous flanks, they're not going to be changed. So at least they have considered that. I think this is one of the things we'll only figure out as we see and how it's implemented, but it sounds interesting at least. They also get to have way more TNT charges, and they say here, as many as 5. That sounds incredible. That actually seems really interesting, and this kind of probably very much puts into the fact that these ideas, the ideas for all this, are essentially based on how can we combat grey zone tanks. That might work pretty well. Which is pretty interesting, actually. I'd like to see how this goes. I'd want to know how effective this would be, because this would certainly be effective against some forms of grey zoning, where you're not exactly, where you're just kind of just a bit in front of your resupply point. Because if they have range of that, that's pretty good. That's actually a very nice feature. And then they also get to pick up weapons, but unlike in the current game where if you pick up a weapon you just get the next magazine, so say if you pick up an MP40 you just get 32 extra rounds plus the mag that was already in the gun, they actually get full ammunition for it. That is incredibly powerful, especially at stuff like higher BRs where they could basically, assuming you got these Russian dudes here, they can just take their MP40s, do a bit of blasting, and then come out of it with a Sturmgewehr. That's pretty cool. And then down here, you've got the pre-orders, so the stuff you can get for pre-orders, which both at BR2, but also, really like this, there's a reinforcements received event, which will have them for all of the countries, and all countries are going to get it through research. Finally, the new class will actually be available to everyone. You don't have to just buy into it. Thank God. I think this will be really cool. It'll be very interesting to see how these go. I'm not entirely sure about what the reinforcements received squads will be, but there's certainly some cool ones that we could get. We could potentially see some Germans, because these are Volksturm, we could see some German soldiers in American uniforms. Kind of go well with the Ersatz Panther, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, I'll go in and give you my thoughts on it in more detail in a sec. Okay, so now that I've told you basically what they are and what they'll do, what do I actually think to them? Well, I think this is a pretty interesting and creative solution to the grey zoning problem, because I think it's safe to say that's why these guys exist. Grey zoning tanks, it's a huge problem in the game. There's really no other solution to it other than have a better tank and a better tanker. But this seems to be a pretty creative solution. My biggest points of interest are the spawn zones, like where are they actually going to spawn and how big is the area that they can spawn in. It's entirely possible that that's been answered in the forums, but I have yet to see them. I'll probably check once I finish the video. But yeah, the point is that I think it will be interesting to see where they spawn, because if they can spawn, say, a bit further ahead in a more unprotected zone, that could be interesting. It's worth mentioning that I think they probably won't have brilliant weapons. I think they're probably going to have access to assaulter and potentially rifle class weapons as default. I think it's more likely to be assaulters, which is interesting. It's certainly an interesting move. I'd prefer it if they'd had a wider arsenal, which I think is entirely possible. I think they could be given access to rifle class weapons. I think they probably just won't have access to specialist weapons, such as, you know, things like machine guns and anti-tank weapons, which is fair enough. As for the TNT charges, that's a pretty nice change. TNT charges, they're definitely something loads of players use all the time now. They certainly feel worth it, and the fact that they can take 5 into battle, that's actually pretty nice, because it means they can actually set up traps, which, you know, in the current state with the TNTs, they're mostly just used as you run at tank, place on tank, and win. But the actual fact that they're going to be setting up, you know, they suggest to set up ambushes and stuff, that's actually pretty cool. I'll actually like this. And as for the weapon pickups, which is their final feature that they've talked about here, I actually really like that. I think that's a really creative way to, you know, oh, they're partisans, oh, they can just pick up whatever they find. That's a really cool way. I think it could be knocked down by having them not have as much max ammunition, which I think is a perfectly fair and reasonable thing. Because, frankly, I think if you give them a large ammo pouch and they can just, you know, like, pick up an MG42 or something and have full, all of the bullets for it, or, like, I don't know, like a Maxim Tokarev or an M1919, that would be very powerful, especially in terms of machine guns. Not to say that it wouldn't be cool, but I just feel it could be a little bit overpowered. I think these ones will be a bit of a balancing issue when they come out initially. And I think if I had to say why, it'd be the spawning and the picking up of weapons, especially in higher BRs. But I think these guys are definitely a really cool idea. You know, I mean, and they're partisans. It's cool. I think the fact that they're here is just really cool, because there's not many games that would show these off, in my opinion. And finally is the reinforcements received events. I've got some ideas of what they'll be. I said earlier, potentially German soldiers in American uniforms, but I think we could also see, like, French resistance soldiers, maybe Polish resistance members, which would be cool. I'm not sure about the Japanese ones. Maybe we could see some, like, Filipino resistance members. That would be really cool. I think there's a lot of options they have with this that could be really cool to see and see how they work. And also the fact that all of them are going to have it for research, and I'm going to assume all countries will have them through the reinforcements received event, that's pretty much 8 that you'll be able to get, plus 2 more. So there'll be 10 of these squads if you go ahead and also buy into the pre-order, which seems pretty interesting, but there's nothing hugely that strikes me about the squads. They're guns that are already in the tech tree, obviously, an MP40 for the Russians and the PPS-43 for the Germans. Not brilliant guns, but for BR2, pretty decent, and I mean, they look cool at least. I like the Volkssturm ones. It does make me wonder if any other Volkssturm groups would be turned like this. I mean, there's still the, I believe the 1st Volkssturm Division, which have the Lebel as a premium, but I don't think you can buy that class anymore even. I don't think you can buy that squad, so I don't think they're going to get changed to it. But still, this is a very cool way. It's a very cool way to instrument something like the Volkssturm. Who knows, maybe we'd even get a Dad's Army squad for the Americans. That would be really funny. Dumb, but very funny. No, I don't think we'll get that. But still, you know, a man can dream. But yeah, overall, I think this class, it'll definitely be interesting. I think what they've said that's written here is interesting. I just think it'll be one of those things that we'll only really get to see for the first time on, like, the dev server, or when it gets added. I'll probably wait till it gets added to see how they finally implement it. But yeah, no, that'll be pretty interesting to see. So, I think that should come to the end. I think this is a pretty anticipated squad, at least for me. They seem a lot cooler in theory. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys think these will be a good solution to the grey zoning? Are you worried about the spawning and potential spawn camping? Because, yeah, that might be an issue, to be fair. Or are you just plain excited? You think this is going to be a good solution? I don't know. What do you guys think? Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And, yeah, I will see you all later. Goodbye.